I recently did a video on Google's new Gemma 4 local model that you can run on your own PC, but I concentrated mainly on the performance on a PC with lots of VRAM, a good GPU, in this case the RTX 5090. Now there were some comments below that video that were asking about other configurations, so that's what I want to do in this video. I want to look at the Gemma 4 model on different bits of hardware, including a mini PC and Raspberry Pi 5 and so on. In fact, I also want to look at the Qwen 3.5 and Qwen 3.6 models to see how they compare. So if you want to find out more, please let me explain. Okay, so let's get into this then. So we're going to be looking at 7 different models from 2 different families. So we've got the Gemma 4 from Google, and then there's different variants of that. You've got the effective 2 billion version, the effective 4 billion parameters version, the 26 billion parameters version, which is a mixture of experts one, and the 31 billion parameters, which is a dense one. And you can see from the download size, 7 gigs, 9 gigs, 18 gigs, 20 gigs, the size of the model that's got to be loaded into memory. So of course memory usage is going to be relative to this download size. And then for the Qwen side, we've got Qwen 3.5 4 billion, Qwen 3.5 9 billion, and I also wanted to check out the new Qwen 3.6 35 billion, which you can see is a 24 gigabyte download, so the biggest download out of everything that we've got here. Okay, so what am I testing it on? So I've got 4 bits of hardware. I've got a mini PC without an NVIDIA GPU in it, so basically just a mini PC with the integrated GPU. So 16 gigs of RAM, no dedicated video RAM. Okay, then I've got an i5 PC, but it's got an RTX 5090 in it. So it's got 32 gigabytes of normal RAM and 32 gigabytes of VRAM, video RAM, in the RTX 5090. Then I've got a Raspberry Pi 5, which has got 16 gigs of normal RAM, no VRAM. It's just got the integrated GPU in that. And then I've also got the NVIDIA Jetson Thor, which has got 128 gigabytes of unified memory. So that's shared amongst the CPU and the GPU. Now, along the way, I also want to include some questions to gauge the capabilities. So one is my Alice question. Alice has 5 brothers, also has 3 sisters. How many sisters does Alice's brother have? Now, this was a question that if you go back to ChatGPT 3.5, that kind of area, that even the main online models couldn't get this right. Nowadays, even the small models get it right. But there's a much more difficult one, which is you have 2 hourglasses, one that measures 7 minutes, one that measures 11 minutes. Using those two, can you measure 15 minutes? Now, you can, but a lot of LLMs either get it wrong in their calculations or they say you can't do it. So this is a kind of a good way to gauge, does it answer the Alice question, this LLM? Does it answer the hourglass question? Kind of gives a rough gauge of their capabilities. So let's start on the mini PC. So if we start with the Gemma 4 effective 2 billion, that's the fastest one here, gets 20 tokens a second on this mini PC. No dedicated graphics card, uses about 6 gigabytes of RAM. Yes, it can answer the Alice question, but it can't answer the hourglass question. I covered all of this in my video about Gemma 4, but just as a recap, the effective 4 billion parameter one, again, it can answer Alice, can't answer the hourglass, 10 tokens a second, 8.2 gigabytes of RAM. Couldn't test the 26 billion one, it's just bigger than the 16 gigabytes of RAM, so don't do that. Then over on the other side, the Qwen 5.5, so quite slow. It can answer the Alice question, but I've got a little star here. Now, there's 2 reasons for that. One is that sometimes it just gets stuck in a loop and just doesn't answer it. Just at one point, it was like saying, check whether this would be true if Alice had 111 sisters. Check whether this would be true if Alice had 112 sisters. And it just kept on going up and up and up and up just forever and ever and ever. And at 5.5 tokens a second, it was taking a long time. When it does get it right, then it took about 7 or 8 minutes to reply, whereas this one did it in about a minute and a half. So, and I didn't even bother with the hourglass question at this point because it would have taken 20-30 minutes and who knows where it gets stuck in a loop, so I just didn't even bother. And the same with Qwen 3.5 9 billion, 3.8 tokens a second, and again the Alice and the hourglass, it just kept getting stuck in a loop. Maybe if the smaller one should do it, this one should do it if I kept trying and trying again, but that's not how these models should work. That's not reliable, so that's just a bit of a failure really. And then of course I didn't try the 35 billion parameter. 16 gigabytes is not enough. Now, if we go to a Raspberry Pi 5, again, because it doesn't have any dedicated VRAM, so on the effective 2 billion parameter one of Gemma 4, you're getting 6 tokens a second, takes about 7 gigs of RAM. Yes, it can answer the Alice question, can't answer the hourglass question. When I say it can't answer it, it comes up with the wrong answer. It actually gets through all the thinking, it just comes up with the wrong answer. 3.3 tokens a second for the effective 4 billion parameter one, using 10 gigabytes, so really using up all the memory there. Yes, it can answer Alice. No, it can't answer the hourglass. Again, didn't check the 26 billion one, not enough RAM. When we go to the Qwen, basically it's the same story as on the mini PC. 2.3 tokens a second, very slow. Yes, it can answer the Alice question if you give it enough time, if you try 2 or 3 times. On this particular occasion, the Alice question did get answered on the Qwen 3.59 billion. So very slow. The 1.5 tokens a second is very, very slow. So that's overall, the Qwen has been slower on non-hardware accelerated with GPUs, much slower than the Gemma 4. And again, I couldn't test the 35 billion one. Of course, 16 gigs is not enough for that. Now onto the PC with the RTX 5090, much different set of results. So 278 tokens per second, 189 tokens per second. Even when you're using the 26 billion 177 tokens, it flies through the answers, gives them to you very quickly. 8 gigs of VRAM used on the first one, 12 gigs of VRAM used on the second one, 20 gigs of VRAM used on the 26 billion mixture of experts model. And there's some normal RAM usage associated with that, 1 gigabyte, 2 gigabytes. Now the 26 billion one can answer both the Alice and the hourglass question. And if I try on my machine with the 31 billion dense one, it uses up all the VRAM and it starts to go into the main memory, 7 gigabytes here. So the token rate is very, very slow. Now this is using Olama. Maybe there's a better, or a smaller, not better, but a better quantize. So you get 3 bits maybe. That you could try with, but basically it struggled here just because of the pure size of it. But it does answer both of the questions, but slower. But 5 tokens a second is faster than what I was getting on some of those Qwen models. So, there you go. Then on the Qwen side, here we can see much faster, 200 tokens a second, much faster than it was without GPU acceleration, 10 gigs of VRAM used. The 9 billion 156 tokens a second. Now on both of these, the Alice questions were answered, because even if it kind of got stuck or took a long time to get through its thinking, at this token rate, it was worth just waiting that extra minute and it all sorted itself out. Neither of them could answer the hourglass question though. But I wanted to try out the Qwen 3.6 35 billion. Look at this. It used up all of the VRAM and a little bit of RAM, but it still managed to give me 146 tokens a second. So very usable in terms of speed and RAM. As long as you're prepared to, it's going to take up all of your VRAM. And yes, it can answer the Alice and hourglass question. So these two here, or really these two here, the 26 billion one and the 35 billion one, are kind of similar speeds and capabilities, roughly. Obviously, if you get into more complex tasks, there'll be a difference between them. And the 31 billion one here again, but this was much slower on my setup. So some good results at the high end if you've got an RTX 5090. And then finally, looking at the Jetson Thor, which is kind of a cousin of the Jetson DGX Spark, which has kind of got this unified memory, lots of ARM cores, along with the NVIDIA graphic. So I haven't put the memory usage on here because all of them fit in 128 gigabytes of RAM, no problem. You've got the effective 2 billion parameter one was giving me 74 tokens a second, 44 tokens a second for the 4 billion one, and then up to the other ones here, 42 a second, which is very good. I said in my other video, this model here is really the best of all of them, because you get a reasonable kind of token rate, and it's quite capable. It can answer both those questions. This one, much slower, 10 tokens a second, but it can answer all the questions. And then going over to Qwen, 41 tokens a second, 31 tokens a second, again, limited in its capabilities. But when you try Qwen 3.6, 35 billion, then you're getting 36 tokens a second, and it can answer both. So again, these three kind of here, these two seem to be very interesting in terms of token rate and of their capabilities. Okay, so there you have it, the Gemma 4 and Qwen models running on a variety of different bits of hardware. For me, still the best one is that 26 billion parameter one mixture of experts for Gemma 4. Love to hear what your thoughts are. What's your favourite local model that you can run on your own PC? Do let me know in the comments below. My name's Gary Sims. This is Gary Explains. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you like these kind of videos, then you could subscribe to the channel. And if you want to support the channel, then there are some memberships available here on YouTube and over on Patreon. Okay, that's it. I'll see you in the next one.